Good afternoon.
Hey, you guys. We are back. We're talking all things NFL. We are into week 5. We've seen
Seen enough.
We've seen enough today. Mighty Chiefs versus the rascal Broncos earlier.
Yeah, if that doesn't put you off watching NFL, nothing else will. It's actually the most demotivating thing to then go do an NFL podcast. But
It's terrible to...
that was atrocious.
Any game on ESPN at the moment seems to be the worst game of the week.
They seem to have the worst luck. It's almost like I'm picking the games. I really need to stop betting on them because it's ruining it. I'm picking the overs and the touchdowns.
And we've obviously got a bit of friction between us this week, mate, being head-to-head on the NFL.
Yeah, we are. We're up against each other in our fantasy team. I am near the top, 4-1, and you are...
Third.
Yeah, there you go, 3-2.
Top of the table clash.
So two experts in our field.
Exactly. But you'll be the expert today, mate, around the NFL. What we'll do is just really quickly. This will be hopefully a short podcast, just talking about some of the key takeaways.
Yeah, it's a week 5 update. I
weeks.
think what we want to do is check in on each, maybe every 4 or 5 weeks, to see how the season's going, see if there's been any kind of major changes. And from our predictions before the season started 5 weeks ago, there's certainly a lot of change. I mean, some are very predictable, and others are completely, can't believe that. Houston, I would have had Houston tanking,
really
terrible
good
team.
Yeah. I mean, CJ Stroud looks really quality.
They may even be a playoff team. It's ridiculous. If they get on a run with that quarterback and the defensive coach and some of the big defensive players they've got. So just for talking sake, that's what I mean.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
because you look at just touching on them though, it's not a bad point because you think the guys out of our higher, right? You're usually throwing to really good wide receivers against teams that are not as good.
Yep.
Those guys then go into the NFL. They don't have that kind of
it's normally a great
superiority from a team.
Ohio quarterback's normally a graveyard the NFL, but the wide receivers are normally superstars.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Now it's early doors, but
Yep.
CJ Stroud does look very good, and the NFL defensive coach, the 49ers defensive coach,
Yep.
looks to be doing some job. So
Who's an ex Houston player as well?
yes,
Yep.
exactly. So let's see how they carry on. Mate, the other big news, obviously, within a matter of minutes, Aaron Rodgers' Jets season came to an end.
I started the season quite strongly saying that the Jets would win that division, and that division has the Dolphins in it and it has the Bills in it.
Yeah, very
right?
bad decision.
It was a bold decision, but when you lose your quarterback in the
Bold and bad.
first drive of the year, that is a bad decision because he's out,
Yeah.
and they're not the same team. But you're the one that drafted in your second round fantasy
Yeah.
Garrett Wilson
I know.
on the basis that he was getting thrown to by Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So that changes everything. And to be honest, I think I'll get a saving grace that the Dolphins will probably win that division now, and that will save me because you took the Bills and I took the Jets, and we'll both get a pass, or we'll both get the same.
I'll tell you what, I mean, the Pats versus Miami, Pats at the time were semi-competitive a couple of weeks ago. It's changed a lot since then, but the way that the Pats defend, which is obviously brilliant with Bill Belichick, but honestly, that Miami offense just looks like something else. I mean, it's just like all you see is guys going like that, zzz, zzz, across the field. It looks insane. It looks so different to anything
Who would have
else you
thought
see.
hiring lots of really, really fast players would pay off, huh?
Unbelievable.
He's a genius.
Unbelievable.
He's a genius.
But I mean, the schemes are outrageous.
Oh no, he's a really good coach.
Having Waddle and Tyreek, I know Waddle's injured, but having those two studs, is unbelievable. But they're an easy team.
I'll be really interested to see if the guy, I've never really liked him before, but that Todd that was at the Steelers and then the Bears has just joined them, and he's super fast, but Chase Claypool. If he starts becoming a stud,
has he gone to Miami?
He went to Miami, right? Yeah, but
is Waddle injured?
No, Waddle will be back, but it's just they got him cheap. They got him for almost for free.
Yeah, I thought he had a really bad attitude, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's stinking attitude, but he's light and fast. And
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, I'll be interested to see if he starts becoming a stud and touchdown after touchdown. Then it really does make Mike McDaniels.
If he doesn't make it there, then he's gone. I reckon he'll be slung out.
If you can't get space in that offense, if you can't get
but it's not only
catches in that
space.
offense,
If you can't mix with good guys,
Yeah.
in a team that sort of seems to have really good chemistry,
yeah,
and you again are a pain point. Now, look, the Bears are a horrible run franchise, and I've got a real soft spot for them, probably because they are so shit. But you go from the Steelers, they seem to draft irritable wide receivers.
Yeah.
They've got a history of...
They draft a lot of great defenders and terrible terrible attackers.
They've got great wide receivers, Antonio Brown, Bell, the like, but they all just seem to lose their head. But anyway, by the by, if he doesn't make it there, then I think that's his. The NFL is very much more organisation driven versus NBA is more player driven.
Yeah.
Once you're known as a bad egg, it's tough to get involved.
Yeah, anyway, I'll be interested to see because he has another fast play. He suits into the kind of speedy kind of character that
he's
guys like.
And he's big.
Yeah, so we'll see how they go. But yeah, it's kicking off.
Should we look? I mean, the draft this year was underwhelming from a talent perspective. So said the experts. We've seen some strong performances so far, mate. I mean, from your side, top 5 rookies so far. I mean, it's early doors.
Top 5 rookies. Well, CJ Stroud's number 1 because one, he was the number 2 pick, not the number 1 pick, and I think he's outperformed Bryce Young immensely, and a much supposedly weaker team than the Panthers were. The Panthers looked they were going to be. I mean, they gave away a lot. They gave away DJ Moore and they gave away a lot of picks to get Bryce Young.
I dare say,
but
he's still.
I think most people you asked at the start, CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, they would have took Bryce Young.
Yeah, I don't think Bryce is underperforming. But CJ Stroud is just really close.
But CJ Stroud is breaking records. He's Mahomes like.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Right? So I think it's a case that. CJ Stroud is
and that's fine. But what I'm saying is, when you look at what the Panthers had to give up to get Bryce Young, and Houston got 2nd and 3rd pick, right? They got to get Anderson as well in defence.
Good point.
CJ Stroud for me is the number 1 rookie of the year so far.
Yeah.
The next one is Puka Nacua, because.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, Hakuna Matata. Because I've got him in my fantasy team. No, because he's got over 500 yards already, which is
he's
second
record.
only to the number 1 draft pick, like everyone's fantasy draft pick, which is Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So he's second only to him. He's got more and he's got more targets and more catches than him, but less air yards. But Puka Nacua, who was I think 6th round pick, looks just as good as Cooper Kupp running those routes.
Yeah.
And then when they played together last week, they both looked excellent. They kind of dovetailed really, really well. And I think with such a good thrower in Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua's not going anywhere. I think he'll finish in my top 5 rookies of the year.
To see, I mean, the Rams are performing well above their pay station and where everyone had them. And that's obviously down to coaching and the like, but he's a massive part of that. And I think what's interesting is I think he got injured towards the sort of draft.
He did, and that dropped him right down.
Dropped him right down, and what a steal for the Rams.
Unbelievable, and a steal for anyone that got him in the 1st or 2nd week of fantasy because he went undrafted in the auctions. Number 3, I've got Bijan Robinson. This is no surprise that he's in the top 5. He's the best running back I've seen since Saquon to come into the league in first year, like in a rookie numbers. He's an absolute workhorse already, and a run-heavy offence. It's a shame they're not the greatest. They don't have any good quarterback, and they don't have a really good defence.
Hopefully it'll change next year. But,
hopefully, but I think and a good to imagine he was in the Dolphins. But imagine Robinson was in the Dolphins, right? You just give him the Super Bowl now. But yeah, absolute workhorse, and I'm really impressed by him. Needs more touchdowns, but again, that's not his fault. That's the team.
Yeah.
But his yards, everything, he's the way he just jinx. Such a good player. Number 4, I've got Devon Achane. He's just got injured, so we're not going to see him for a few weeks. But oh my God, what a rookie season! He's at the Dolphins. He came in behind Mostert to start with, and then his first week, given a game, 200 yards, 4 touchdowns. Not a bad start.
Yep.
He's got.
I'll take it.
He's got over 500 in 3 games. I think he's got 6 touchdowns. He could be higher up, but again, he's injured now, so I don't think we're going to see him for a while. So, but he still easily needs a mention. And then number 5 in the rookies, and again, he's just got injured sadly as well. But Anthony Richardson, who the Colts picked as a quarterback,
big gamble.
It was a huge gamble because there was talk of going for the guy that the Titans ended up taking above him.
Yeah.
There was talk.
Will
Levis. Yep. There was talk of a couple other ones. And he went from at the 4th pick in the draft.
Couldn't agree more, mate. I mean,
and he's been insane. He's scored a rushing touchdown every time he's played, or finished the game because he got injured last week. But his throwing's been better than expected. It's
Yeah.
not been as good
Well,
as.
he's got a hell of an arm.
Oh, he's got an amazing
It's
arm,
just
but
really
it's his
accuracy.
accuracy and his
Yeah.
picks. But he's not throwing as many picks as everyone expected.
Yeah.
But what he gives them on offense, what he gives them on rushing, and the saddest thing is we've just got JT coming back, right? At the same point, he's get injured.
Yeah.
It would be great to see that dynamic of having one of the best running backs in the league and the quarterback that can do the same job, because you don't know how to mark.
I mean, this might be a blessing in disguise for the Colts, because if they, for instance, if he's out for longer than expected and they get a couple of high draft picks, and then they go into next season with Richardson, with a lot of confidence,
Yep.
rather than we've taken a massive punt. And as I said before the season, you have to take a massive punt where they are in the conference, because you're up against really good quarterbacks.
Yep.
So you can't just go for the guy we think's going to be good, steady Eddie kind of
Well,
guy. You
I
need
think
a stud, and if it doesn't work, then you move on.
CJ Stroud, like as I said, he's looking like the real deal. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think of all of them, they said the biggest upside was Anthony Richardson, but he also had the biggest low side. Of he's not the finished article,
Yeah.
but he could be as good a runner as Jackson, and
Sorry,
he could be as big a thrower as Herbert, right? And
Yeah.
if you get that combination, you've got a stud, an absolute number
And look,
one MVP.
I know in America they do a lot of the, the dramatise things a bit, but
Oh my God!
Yeah, but also they look into someone's past and go, oh, this is where he's born, and this is
Yeah.
his mom, and his mom
Yeah.
loves him, and shock horror, your mom loves you. Okay, but honestly, he does seem like such a good bloke, really nice guy, salt to the earth, hard-working lad.
Yeah.
I'm really happy for him.
But from a physicality, 6'5", built like a tank,
Who was
could
the
be a
guy from
bouncer at any
Auburn?
nightclub
Who
in the
was
world.
Who was the guy from Auburn that went to the Panthers? It was the famous quarterback MVP.
Oh yeah. Cam Newton.
Cam Newton. Yeah, I mean, they reckon that he's probably bigger physicality perspective than Cam Newton, who was
Was a monster,
A monster.
Undefendable.
this. I mean, with this guy,
even in his last year at the Pats,
Yeah.
he was still rolling in the touchdowns himself.
Yeah.
So anyway, Anthony Richardson
that's
makes
a
my
great
top
five.
five.
That's a great
I
five.
think they've all really performed well. If I was to pick any disappointing ones, I don't have a top five, but I think the boy Gibson, Jameer Gibson, was a high pick running back, and he's sitting second fiddle to Montgomery at the moment, who's not a great running back.
Yeah.
That might just be a strategy thing at the moment, but he's underachieved. I think I've been from a wide receiver perspective. I don't think the boy Smith Najiba at the Seahawks. He was the number one first wide receiver off the draft. Hasn't done anything yet, but again, they've got two. He was always coming as the number three,
yeah.
and Geno Smith's not known to be spraying it around like a Mahomes or something like that.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I think Najiba Smith has been a bit of a disappointment from that respect. I expected him to be a stud. Still might be in the second half of the season, but people like that, Gibson from a running back perspective, and Najiba from and also I will add in Bryce Young. I'm sorry, but he's been a bit of a disappointment. So the number one pick, and you're saying it's not his fault. Might not be, but I haven't seen many throws above 10 yards. Right?
Yeah,
So.
and look, that's, I don't think that's on him, mate. I mean, what are your options? And
That's fine, and
look,
that might be the coach,
yeah.
it might be the team, but I'm just saying, if I'm the number one pick, I look at Burrow when he came into the NFL and transformed a gutter trash team into 2 years later into the Super Bowl.
This lad's 4'3". He can barely look over.
I know, but what I'm saying is
people's
they gave
ankles.
up the number one wide receiver
Yeah.
and 3 or 4
Well,
picks, right?
what he's very much what should be a slightly even better version of Tua Tagovailoa, and so you need options.
Yep.
Because if a guy,
I'm far from saying he's rubbish.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I've been disappointed as a rookie in the
I think
league.
you're being a little
He's
bit
not
harsh
made,
just
he's
because
not, he's not made my
because
top
of
five, but he's
what-
actually in my top 3. If I've got to pick a quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver that I'm disappointed with, and I'll add the tight end as well, Dalton Kincaid at the Bills, I'm disappointed with. I thought he was the first TE off the rank,
Yeah.
and I thought in that offense,
He's a big tight end
he's
draft,
such a
wasn't
good guy. He can block, and he's a catcher. He's
Yeah.
the best catcher in college football as a tight end. And somehow Sam Laporta came in, and he was tipped as well. But you just knew the way that the Lions faced, he was going to get a lot of catches and a lot of touchdowns. He's been a stud.
Yep.
And he could have made my top 5. I nearly picked him over Richardson. But my dad in the tight end position at the moment is Kincaid, and again, the second half of the season it might complete change. But that's my update so far.
And so, what do you think, mate? So, who are your? We've looked at rookies, wins and busts. Let's look at from your eyes, what are your top two performing teams in the league now, and what are your
So I'll give you my top 5 teams at the moment.
Wow,
because the
okay.
top 2 is quite easily obvious. It's the 49ers and the Eagles. They're both 5-0.
The Eagles haven't
they-
really performed well though,
but they've won every game, right? And the brotherly shove is undefensible. They're talking about getting rid of it because
Is Carter still playing?
Carter's
getting
up there. I mean, I've picked attacking rookies, right? I've picked
Yeah.
fantasy football rookies.
Yeah.
If I'm picking defenders, then you're going to look at Gonzalez at the Pats, you're going to look at Carter at the Eagles, right? If you're looking
Yeah.
for those kind of guys. But for the sake of just talking about attacking side of the ball, I've gone for that. The top 5 teams that I think San Fran 49ers don't look like they're capable of losing the game. I would have had the Cowboys in my top 5, but they got so destroyed by the 49ers last week. I've now dropped them right out. I'm like, you can't win a Super Bowl if you're going to lose that by 40 points.
I love Shanahan's offense, man.
So
it's just
the
different gravy.
49ers are quite clearly the best team in the NFL right this moment. That could change in a heartbeat. CMC gets injured. Some of the big defenders get injured, and the quarterback Purdy, who looks amazing at the moment, gets injured.
For a
They're
guy
a
like
different
CMC
team.
though, to almost to be operating at almost MVP level at his
And then
for
the
how many
injuries he's
years
had,
they've-
yeah. Oh, but he's always been a
guy's
cheat
stud.
code because he's a freak running back that can catch, can
Yeah.
play wide receiver. But yeah, they look the real deal. I haven't seen the team start a league as dominantly in a long time since maybe the Patriots back in the day when they were just dominating.
Yeah.
And the Eagles look really strong, and obviously they're in the same division. They're in the same conference. So
The only pain point I'd say with them is they don't seem to be getting enough out of AJ Brown and Smith.
I just
the
don't think
wide
they need to at
receivers.
the moment. I
Yeah.
just don't think they need to. They're
My man D
They're
Swift
never,
has
they're,
been
ne- they're
killing
never
it.
behind in a game where they've got to throw,
Yeah.
right? So why change a winning formula when the running game is working so well? You've got the strongest quarterback in the league who can run for fun. You've got Swift's having an absolute brilliant scene. He looks like a great pickup. I always
Yeah.
thought he was good at the Lions, but injuries and just maybe not the right team for him, but he looks a stud there. But anyway, I've got 49ers and Eagles quite comfortably. But then I've got on the other side, I've got the Miami Dolphins. They're the most attacking team in the league. They get the most yards, they get the most points. They're the most exciting to watch because the defence isn't amazing either. So each game they're in normally is over 50 points in it, right? And I've got a soft spot. I've always had a soft spot for the Dolphins since the Odace Ventura days. Dan Marino, Sprinkles Einhorn, Les is out. So I think Miami are brilliant. I really like the Ravens. I tipped them at the start of the season to win the division. And I think I thought maybe Lamar would have an MVP season. I don't think he's going to make MVP. I think there's been a lot better players, but they look great. And I've got the Lions at number 5, maybe a surprise package, but they're 4-1. They beat the world champions first game of the season. They have bags of yardage, and they got a good running game and some brilliant receivers. Great new tight end, and the best coach in the league. Like, he's just a psychopath, right? He's just hilarious. Listening to the guy. So got the Lions in my top 5. To run in, I think you said biggest busts.
Yeah. Who's
So,
been disappointed,
so biggest
mate?
busts, and we're not talking about ladies. We are talking about people that have let me down, and I can't go past the Giants. The New York Giants are my team.
Yep.
They are terrible. They're the worst team in the NFL. They're terrible to watch on both sides of the ball. Can't defend, can't score.
I mean, after such a great year last year and a surprisingly good year, and Danny Dimes, your favourite quarterback, getting the money.
I actually don't think
why
him
have
getting
they
paid has affected him. I think he was never good enough, and it was mental to pay him.
Yeah,
But
so
I don't
stupid.
think he's gone from being brilliant to shit because he got paid.
Do you know what
He
I
was
mean?
shit.
They're a blue collar franchise, which I'm obviously a big fan of, but it doesn't mean you've got to make stupid decisions.
No, not at all.
Because they go work ethic. The guy's a good lad.
Yeah,
Give
yeah.
him the money. It's like, no, you've got to.
Well, they paid him and then refused to pay Bartley, and nearly lost the best running back. So,
Yeah.
and you can see when Bartley plays, like they came back from, was it 28-0? Or it was a big deficit. They came back from the Cardinals and beat them, and Bartley was the absolute orchestrator of that, and they get injured at the end, and then he's been out for the last 3 games, and they've been smashed, absolutely smashed. So they've been my biggest bust because they made the playoffs last year and won a playoff game.
Yep.
So from that to now possibly going to end up the worst team in the league is disgraceful. The Bengals have been a bust for me because 2 years ago they were in the Super Bowl. Yes, Burrow is carrying an injury. It's very obvious, you can see that. And he looked a bit more mobile this week, and guess what? Chase gets 50 points in fantasy. You know what I mean? It's like, if he's fit, Jamar Chase is flying, and the Bengals will win. But I think it's already too late for them to win the division. But I think that they've been a bust because they are normally in the top 3 to win the Super Bowl conversation the last couple of years.
Absolutely, man. Well run the team. I mean, honestly, he's one of my favourite guys in the NFL, because if you look at perennial losers in the Bengals, you get a guy that comes in and
changes the attitude overnight.
It's so hard to do in the NFL because you've got so many players versus NBA. It's only 5 guys on the court at one stage, right?
Yep.
Where you've got such a big squad in the NFL, and you've got a guy that literally puts a franchise on his back, literally, and does what he's done. I just think it's a calf injury. It seems to linger, those kind of injuries.
It does, but like I said, they've been a disappointment so far, and hopefully he stays fit, gets fit, and they start climbing up the ranks, because they're a great watching team as well, because they throw the ball. Right, there's touchdowns in their games.
You got Higgins, you got Jamar Chase, as you said.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd.
They've got a really good team, and they've got a good running game as well. So they're a really good team to watch. Got a good coach, but they've been terrible. So they're one of my biggest busts. Number 3 is going to surprise you, but I've got Kansas City Chiefs attack. Now Kansas won this morning, so they're now 5-1.
Is that a different team to Kansas City defense?
No. Well, the defense is winning them their games. The defense has been insane, right? But we like to watch Kansas City because they throw the ball. Mahomes is the 2-time MVP. They throw the ball to multiple players, 5, 6, 7 different players, and he gets 400 yards, he gets 3 or 4 touchdowns. They've been winning games by 1 score, 2 scores against, and they lost game 1 against the Lions, and they haven't played anyone yet. They've beat all the duds, the worst teams in the league, and none of them by convincing score lines.
We watched the game today, right?
So we did, and it was terrible. I mean, that's the worst.
Dolphins put 70 past them, and that was by
put 70 past the Broncos, and Kansas put 19 past them, and
that was by the 4th quarter. And they basically pulled their handbrake up. The Dolphins.
Four kicks, 4 field goals, and a touchdown, right? Not good enough against the worst defence in the league, right? At home as well. At home. Yeah. So Kansas City's attack has been a real bug.
What do you think?
They don't have enough weapons, quality weapons. He can throw it to anyone, and obviously Kelsey today got 120 yards, right? Had a great game. He was always open, and that's what you need. But
you're going to be worried because he's sort of
he's carrying an injury, and he's carrying Taylor Swift at the moment as well, right? But I think he's not got enough variation of quality wide receivers.
Yeah.
But again, maybe I don't know where to put my finger on it, but all I'm telling you right now is it's disappointing to watch. As someone that loved watching them put 30-40 points on most teams each week. Number 4, we just mentioned them there, but the Broncos, I mean, the reason they're only number 4 and not higher up is because they were shit last year as well. So I did not have high expectations on them, but they have actually, if it was even possible to get worse, they are worse than last year.
Unbelievable. I mean,
the defence was at least okay last year. They couldn't score points, but they didn't concede much. Now they're getting dropped for fun, and actually, funnily enough, today they had a good game defensively. Kept the Kansas City to sit at 19, but again, that goes to my number 3, where I think it's more Kansas City's attack than their defence today. I think it's just not a strong attack at the moment, and I think looking at Kansas City's run-in, they will lose a lot of games. They've got big games coming up. They've got Bills later in the season. They've got the Eagles. I think they'll lose all those games, right?
Well, they'll have to figure it out.
They'll have to figure it out, but they'll have to start scoring points. But anyway, the Broncos are the worst team, apart from the Giants at the moment. Terrible.
But look, mate, you got...
But the things that the Broncos gave up to get the coach and the quarterback, it's insane. They basically gave away the next 5 years.
You said on paper, brilliant moves.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the coach I think will pay off, right? But
Sutton doesn't look anywhere near.
No, the wide receivers are letting. The quarterback today was trying his best and doing a lot of running, right?
In the 4th quarter, I mean, his stats
he threw for 80 yards, right? And I'm sorry, but I could have threw for more than 80 yards. One of them's going to get a lucky catch, right? But disgraceful.
But I told you that pass that he got, they ended up getting a penalty for late hits on Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that was lucky.
But the way he released the ball, it's like a kid's throw that just goes
high
in the air and it just drops. It doesn't actually sail like
it looked primed for a pick. right?
Yeah,
It was
but I
terrible.
mean, it landed about two meters short. Now
Yeah.
Russell Wilson at the Seahawks is just throwing a beautiful floater.
He was known as the
on
best
a
long ball
plate.
thrower in the
On a
league.
plate.
Yeah, easy.
I mean, it's what a decline.
It's been terrible. So again, they're number 4 in my busts, and number 5 bust. We mentioned them earlier, and it's probably why Bryce Young is struggling. The Panthers. The Panthers are not the team I thought they'd be.
I still think they're drafted 2 away. I'll be honest, mate.
They look terrible. There's 0-5. They'll probably be 0-6 this week because they got the Dolphins. Right, so I can't see them. They could get 70 put on them by the Dolphins.
I mean, if they had Thielen and DJ Moore, I think then you've got a couple of options there. But at the moment, if Thielen is not good enough for the Vikings,
Yeah.
I mean, he had a horrible season last year. Goes there and he's your number 1 receiver. You're as I say,
Yeah, he's the number 1 receiver because they're only doing
pickings.
5 to 10 yard throws. He's a slot receiver and he's doing the slot really well. He was a slot receiver at Vikings, but Cousins throws a long ball and Jefferson can play anywhere along the line. So he was probably not getting the same service. Thiel's a good wide receiver, and you're seeing that with his consistency and his catching. You're not going to see him. You're not going to see him run 40 yards, 50 yards.
But if he's your third option, then you're looking at a team then you go to Bryce Young. Why are we not winning?
Yeah,
right?
of course.
But if he's your number 1 option, that's
and that's why they've made my top 5 busts,
Yeah.
because I feel that you've got the number 1 draft pick and you're giving him nothing, right? And the guy's already small. There's pressure in your first season, and he's got absolutely no weapons, zero, right? I mean, his number 1 running back is Miles Sanders, who's just, you can see the difference with him.
Yeah.
Getting rid of Miles, Eagles swapping for Swift, and how much better Swift is.
That's which Swift are we talking about?
Not Taylor.
Ah,
Right. Cool. So that's my biggest busts.
so what do we think? I mean, look, we'll. I think we picked. I can't remember. We obviously picked.
We did
Super
the Super Bowl before we started, and I said it would be a Cowboys Chargers. And I was obviously trying to pick things that I thought not just go down there. It'll be Kansas City versus the Eagles, which is what you picked, which is a replay of last year.
What did I say? Kansas City Eagles.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
which again is fine, but that's like on paper before the season starts. You go, they were the 2 best last year. It makes sense to pick them. I tried to be a bit more left field. Cowboys.
I always try to pick,
Yeah.
but then sometimes you go, look, there's a reason why a team and an organisation is so good. It's because
Of course.
they fundamentally know how to operate.
But I picked Chargers and Cowboys, and I have to say, again, I wasn't, after the way the Cowboys started the first couple of weeks and the way the defence was, I was like, I've nailed this. I've nailed this. The Cowboys are going to win.
Well, they lost the cornerback, didn't they?
They did, but I don't think that transforms to only score 10 points against the.
No. I mean, obviously,
49ers.
but it's on the defensive end, right?
Of course.
Sorry, what's his name again?
It's what's his name? The Bills guy's brother.
Yeah.
I've
literally got his brother in my face.
Jeez, what's his name?
If you know, text us.
Yeah,
let us
text us
know.
in.
Comment.
You're the real expert.
Anyway, but with him, Micah Richards. That's an old Southampton defender. Micah Parsons. What a defense they've got. But as you said, offense. Dak just looks.
Stephon Diggs. It's
Stephon
his brother,
Yeah.
Trayvon Diggs. Right, so Trayvon Diggs get injured for the season. Right, but I don't think that changes there. I still think they're a great defence.
That's the offense.
But it's, like I said, as soon as San Francisco beat them by 40 odd points, like 40 odd to 10, you go, there's too big a gulf here, right? And when they play the Eagles, I think the Eagles will probably beat them again. You go, well, that's your division. You've got San Fran and Eagles on the same side of the draw.
You'd have to rely on
You've got to beat both of them to get through,
Yeah.
right? So before the season started, I said Cowboys versus Chargers, and that was a nice dreamy one. Neither of them have won it in a long, long time, if ever, with the Chargers. I've already changed now. The Super Bowl will be the San Francisco 49ers against the Miami Dolphins.
Oof.
That will be the Super Bowl.
Shanahan and the understudy.
Yeah.
Oh, the king.
The king and the prince.
The student and the.
And if the Dolphins don't make it, obviously there is the Bills, there's the Chiefs, there's the Bengals, there's all these other teams. But I'm actually not going to pick any of them. If the Dolphins don't make it, I think it's the Ravens. I think the Ravens are the team that could be the Super Bowl competitors for that division if it's not the Dolphins. But
Wide
I can't
receiver.
bet against the Dolphins at the moment because they're scoring the most points and they're a real. You can't not get on them.
I just think 49ers just look unstoppable. And,
Again,
and they're in the
they'll
easier
probably beat the
conference.
Dolphins. They'll
And
probably
they're-
beat the
They're in the easier conference. But,
They'll probably beat the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that's my Super Bowl.
well, yeah, you got Shanahan versus McDaniels. Is it McDaniels or just Daniels?
It's McDaniels. Yeah.
So it is okay. Okay, well that wraps it up.
Cool.
Thank you to everyone for listening. We will give us a like, a comment, an FU in the comments. That's absolutely fine.
Keep it clean.
Keep it clean.
FU, not anything else.
Yeah. And
So we will touch back probably in another 3 or 4 weeks, 5 weeks to do another update on the NFL, or we may do an overall sports review one week where we just go through all the different sports that we used to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, that concludes how we are after 5 weeks.
That's it.
Bye.